Wow! What's happening, everybody? Yes, sir. We back. Yes, sir. What's happening? How you is? How you do? What it be like? We are in the building. Listen, I have one of my all-time favorites with us today. I can't even express to you guys how excited I am to have this gentleman with me. Listen, there's been some time in the making, but we are here today. When you're talking about an incredible story of greatness, you're talking about an incredible story of lifting people up, lifting himself up. Listen, I can't wait to dive into this conversation today. This is my dude, my man. But before we get into that, y'all know how we do it. Let me give y'all the commercials. You know, we got to get those commercials out the way. Somebody got to pay for the podcast. We got to get these commercials out the way. So listen, whatever you're doing, do me a favor right now, unless you're driving. If you're driving, keep driving and remain safe. All right. If you are at home, you sitting on the sofa, you eating marshmallows, you hugged up with your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband, listen, do me a favor. Text somebody. Tell somebody, share this with somebody right now and let them know Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette is on the air. I am uberly excited about this particular guest. But let me just say this. If you want to be a guest on our podcast, just hit me up. Well, it ain't gonna be me, but you guys get hit us up at Let's Talk with Stanley D at gmail.com. That's LETSTALKWITHSTANLEY D as in David at gmail.com. Listen, shoot me a message. Say, I got a story for you. I got a book. I got a something. Do whatever it is, whatever your specialty is. Come on and get with the family and let us know what you're doing. We want to continue to empower those ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So go to all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I can go on and on and on. Just follow us, share it, like us, donate, subscribe, all of that good stuff so we can continue to empower you guys each and every day. Now that all of the commercials are out the way, baby, let's turn this thing over. Listen, I have a gentleman with us today. First of all, he's my brother. He's a friend. Now, that's a difference. Let me just tell you guys something. There's a difference. You can have a brother, but not be your friend. It might be somebody you just don't like, right? Not only is he my brother, not only do I like him, but he's part of the family. Guys, listen, he has elevated to one of the most prestigious positions in all of law. So y'all do me a favor and help welcome to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette, my brother, my friend, Judge Wesley Person. Judge Person, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. I had to figure out who you were talking about when you said elevated to the most prestigious position. I was like, you got somebody else up here?
Yes, sir, man. Listen, you are the man. Listen, first of all, I gotta say this. Thank you for being part of the Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette podcast. I am humble and very, very appreciative of you. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm humble that you asked. You know, I know that you're a man of excellence and that you put forth something that you want to be proud of and wanted to add to your legacy. So I know asking me up here means that, you know, somehow you think I'm going to help, bring a good product. So I appreciate you
man,
giving me that.
Listen, you are. So listen, I want to get into this, right?
Okay.
You know, everybody hear the title of judge. I don't want to start there. I want to start back in Michigan. Let's go on back to Michigan. Let's get on back to Michigan because I know everybody think of you as having this silver spoon in your mouth and you riding on doves and you got, you know, not just long money, but the longest money. So let's talk about how did Michigan, growing up in Michigan, and by the way, I know you're excited about the playoffs coming up, and I'll talk to you about that later.
Well, I mean, oddly enough, everybody, and probably partly this is my fault because I'm such a big Michigan fan.
Yeah.
And I loved my time in Detroit. That everybody thinks I'm from Detroit, Michigan, but really I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, in a section called Berkeley, which was predominantly African American. Well, it was all African American. I don't want
Okay.
to put that predominantly. It was all African American. Working class neighborhood. A lot
Mhm.
of the people in that area worked in um, the manufacturing. A lot of people worked at the Ford plant, GM plant, and mainly the shipyards and things of that nature. A few people worked in government. You know, when I say government, they worked in the military, custodial positions, and things of that nature. So it was a real big working class community. My father, who I was raised by, he was in the construction business. He worked as
Okay.
a construction laborer, and we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor. It was one of
Yes,
those
sir.
situations where we didn't realize what that we lacked anything until we came in contact with other people. I was like, wait, what do you mean y'all go on summer vacations? What's that?
Right.
It was when those things happened. But it was a good community. I really felt privileged to have grown up there and been around the people I was around.
How did those relationships as well as that community help mold you for today? I know that's a big scope, but how did that at
Yeah.
least give some of those core values from today or for today?
Well, mainly it was a sense of community. I mean, like I said, we didn't realize we didn't have anything because everybody was, we had a community. I mean, if you needed something, I had it. It was yours.
Right.
People looked after each other. People kept the streets clean. There was a level of respect. You respected your elders. Didn't matter that you didn't have anything, that gave you no reason to act a certain way or be a
Right.
certain way.
That's
So it
right.
was a community that there were expectations placed on you. People kept you accountable. People kept each other accountable. If a parent saw another child acting out or acting in a way that they knew didn't reflect the values that household had, they would put them in check, and the
Yeah.
kid would, take that. They wouldn't say anything like, "You can't put your hands on me. You're not my mama." That didn't exist. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
not only, would they tell your parent what you said and you would get beat down for that, but your parents they didn't tolerate that. So
That's
it
right.
was a good community, and that's what I learned. I learned that spirit of helping each other out, and if you had something, and if I had something and you didn't have it, you had it.
Man, that is amazing. Who was that leader in your life at the very beginning that began to guide and mold you into certain areas and certain directions?
Well, looking back, like if yeah, like when I was growing up, I probably wouldn't have said, I couldn't have told you that, but I think it was my father.
Okay.
Not think that's weak. It was my father, and
Okay.
as I got older, I began to see how much, he instilled upon me a certain ethic. Do your best, be honest, don't take anything from anybody. And when I say that, like, don't steal or don't
Yeah,
take what's not yours.
that's right.
Be humble. Understand that everything you have is a blessing.
Hmm.
Be generous. Try to be a good friend. Just be a good person. You may not have the best of everything, but be grateful for what you have. So I think
Yeah.
that was the person that kind of instilled upon me a lot of the characteristics that I try to display and try to live by.
Okay, outstanding. Now you do that, and then now you go to high school. Matter of fact, were you the smartest person in your class in high school? I know I wasn't.
Oh,
So,
oh no, oh no, no, no. I was not. I didn't do well in school. I didn't. Elementary school, high school, junior high. I mean, I was an average at best,
okay.
mediocre at best. I did have a lot of disciplinary problems. I was I was an angry kid. I had certain things, I talked about my relationship with my father, but I didn't have a relationship with my mother. And that created a lot of anger and hostility in me.
Ooh,
So I
yeah,
was, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was angry, you know, I didn't want to listen to people. I
right.
could be rebellious. And that came across in school. And I didn't understand the importance of education.
Hmm. Wow.
I
This
just
is,
kind of felt like, go ahead.
I was saying, no, this is good. When you talk about how you felt like, the reason I say this is good is because, as I like to say, in these streets today, so many people are angry, but they
Yeah.
never take the time to cover, hug, or whatever those young
hmm
men or those young women. How did you begin to move beyond just being angry?
Well, I mean, I was fortunate that I had people that never gave up on me. One would be
Oh,
my
right.
father, and then it would be just different people around the neighborhood. I had opportunity to have people at, I went to the South Side Boys Club back in Norfolk, Virginia, and it was two individuals who kind of helped me, a Charles Brandon and a Coach Williams, Eldridge Williams. And, they basically, took time to talk to me and to
Yes.
challenge me and to give me different perspectives and help me kind of realize that that anger wasn't healthy. And, just that's my dad, just always being there no matter how much trouble I got into. He never ever said, hey, um, anything horrible like, oh, I wish I never had you, or, I wish you go away or anything like that. And, slowly I began to realized that that anger was destroying me. It
Yeah.
wasn't helping me.
Go ahead. I was just agreeing
Oh
with you.
no, yeah, yeah. So that was it. I kind of started realizing that that anger was destructive, and I started realizing that I was living below my
Oh,
capabilities.
that's good.
And yeah, and when I started believing that I could do certain things, then I started seeing some success and seeing some change and things of that nature. And then once you start seeing success and you get a taste of it, then you
Yeah.
want more of it. You want to, see more of it. And fortunately, that's what happened with me. I got some, I started getting some wins and, began to turn certain things around. But it
Man,
wasn't
that,
overnight. It wasn't overnight at all. But,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
happened.
Is that the time around the time you went to law school?
No, no, it was before that. Ooh, I would.
Okay.
I think the time that probably started to turn around for me was when, because I had two different stints in Atlanta. I came to Atlanta after I left Fayetteville State, and I was only supposed to be here for a year, turned into about 5 years. Then I left, went back home. Second time I came back to Atlanta, um, I got involved in church, got involved at New Mercy, not New Mercies, New Birth, New Birth under Bishop Eddie Long. And I met some other people. I met, my current pastor, Jesse Kearney, working with him at the youth ministry. Also, Elder Vincent Crawford, Elder Dane Cunningham. And I started, those men help sort of get me to that next step
Oh,
in terms of
yes.
just in terms of accountability, talking, being transparent, being honest about my failings, and understanding that failure is not the end of the story. A lot of times, it's the beginning. And at that time, I met my ex-wife, who was then becoming my wife, and she helped in that development. And it was again, it was, and when we moved, and the reason I moved to Detroit was when I got married. My ex-wife was she had finished Morehouse Medical College, and she had got a residency program in Detroit. And the plan was, okay, I'm going to go and work and go back to school. And I wound up going to school in Detroit at Wayne State. And I told her, I was like, hey, I'm just gonna bust out, I'm gonna buckle it down, and I'm gonna get all A's. I'm gonna get a 4.0. And I didn't get a 4.0. I got a 3.97. I got
Excellent.
like a A minus in the class, but Stanley, I had never. I mean, the best grade point average I had in college at one point was like a 3.2.
Right.
And when I got that 3.9, I was like, it wasn't hard. I mean,
Yeah,
it took work, but
that's right.
it wasn't anything I wasn't capable of doing. And I wound up, finishing graduate Wayne State with a 3.75 cum laude, got accepted in law school. And it was at that point where I was just like, I've been playing myself the whole
Yeah,
time. Like I had this ability, but because I never believed in myself, I was never able to execute,
right.
because I felt like I couldn't do it. I felt like I couldn't be, a kid that could understand, you know, um, things like contracts and constitutional law and understand, philosophy and things like that. I felt like I couldn't grasp those things. And I found myself grasping them, understanding, and not only understanding, but being able to use them, being
Yeah,
able to use them as tools to make arguments and make,
that's right.
my position known. And it was almost like learning how to speak for the
Yeah,
first time. You know what I mean? It
hearing
was
your
like,
voice.
wow, yeah, like that's exactly it. Like I had a voice, and that voice had some relevance and it had
Mhm.
some value. And
Yes.
that was eye-opening. Um, and it was just like I was just amazed. And I really it sort of pushed me to be this person to always tell people. And I know I'm very frustrating to people because I'm always talking about you can do anything you want.
That's right.
Whenever I go before young people or anybody, I talk about the fact, not because I want to talk about me, but, I talk about the fact that I wasn't meant to be in a position that I'm in. I mean, there was nobody who predicted that. There were
Yeah,
people that thought I could do okay, but there was nobody who predicted I'd be a judge. I mean, I didn't even predict I was going to be a judge. So I'm not holding
yeah,
that against them, but there was nobody that kind of predicted that because number one, I didn't give them any indication that I was going to be able to do that,
that's right.
and that wasn't when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of those people doing that, and the people that were doing that came from certain backgrounds, and those backgrounds
Yes,
didn't look like mine.
yes,
So I tell people all the time, like you can doesn't matter where you were born, doesn't
right.
matter whose house you were born to. What matters is how much you're going to fight for it, or how much you're going to work for what you want, because it's not going to be easy, but it is doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you a question because you touched on some points that I thought is powerful. I want to be very specific with this question and talk about the men. And I want to go into, especially into the African American community in terms of men. Do you think a lot of men in the African American community have given up?
um I don't think they've given up. I don't
Okay,
want to say that. I think they've accepted a certain reality.
that's good. That's real
I
good.
think they've accepted a certain reality. Like I need to keep my focus low, in a sense. I need to, because if I get too big,
Uh huh.
if I think too big, then I may be disappointed, and
That's right.
I may fall short. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people are afraid of failure. I think people sort of look at failure, and like I say, being the end of the story. And really, it's just the beginning. I recently read Steve Jobs' biography written by Walter Isaacson.
Okay.
And what amazed me about it is how many times that guy, Steve Jobs, failed and failed spectacular,
Yes.
but
Yes.
didn't give a hoot about it. Like
Yeah.
like his first time, and I like when he like they told him to leave Apple. They was like, we want you to go. We want to have nothing to do with you. And he left, and everybody was like, calling him crazy and calling him, all these names and stuff like that. And he left. He could have left and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna go take my little nickel and dime. And he had more than nickel and dimes. I'm just gonna
Right.
go and just disappear. But he didn't. And he went and sort of went out and said, I'm gonna do everything they said I can't do. I'm gonna
Right.
still keep this big dream, no matter how many times people tell me it's impractical, how many times people tell me I'm wasting my time, that you're a perfectionist, that it doesn't take all that. I'm going to keep doing it.
Mhm.
And he stayed focused to it to where not only did he build Apple, but he built Pixar.
That's
You
right.
know, he built two huge companies that are about imagination, creativity, and that are very valuable companies that are still here because he believed in his own, magic. Say, look,
Right.
so I think a lot of black men, I think they sort of take the reality that they've been shown and say, okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
Mhm.
And they don't think about their dreams. Like I was listening to this podcast where this guy said, F your dreams.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and his thing was, okay, look, you gotta make money. You gotta take care of stuff. And this is, you need to be about making money. You don't need to be about making these dreams. And you know, I I get it. We have to you know, um take care of those things we have to take care of,
Right.
but we shouldn't lose sight of our dreams. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Because people always look at, and this is the thing, people always look at dreams as being impractical. But it's the dreamers, and that's borrowing an Apple line, but it's the dreamers that really make this world what it is. Um, think about think about one of the things that I think you're going to use, YouTube.
Mhm.
When YouTube was created, people the two guys who they created it, and they had this little rinky-dink office, and people were just
Right.
like, "Man, nobody's going to pay attention to YouTube. Nobody, you're not going to compete with the big networks. You're not gonna, what are you
Right.
doing? This is stupid." And then when it came out, people were like, "Oh, YouTube is just where people go post stupid videos. It really
Right.
has no function or form."
That's
Well,
right.
look at YouTube now. It's a $20 billion industry, and it spawned so many other different businesses. I mean,
Right.
there are whole industries now that cater to people who are broadcasting.
That's
People who
right.
create microphones, people who create these lights. People are
Yeah.
now employed by that, and now you have people who are creating content on YouTube and YouTube only that are making money. You got,
Right.
Issa Rae, who people love, Insecure. If there were no YouTube, there was no Adventures of Awkward Black Girl, there would be no Insecure. There was no Insecure, there would not be a bunch of people, working on the set of Insecure. But not just that, doing blogs that talk about Insecure. Like we always say, if it ain't about dollars, it's not about cents, because we want people not to be dreamers, but we forget that dreams produce multi-billion-dollar industry.
That's
Elon
correct.
Musk and Tesla was a dream, a fantasy, but now it exists. His SpaceX was a dream, private flights to space. People were like,
Right.
yeah, you're tripping. Now they're doing it. We look at Amazon and um, Bezos. Him and his wife started it, and people were just like, "You're tripping. People aren't going to buy
Yeah.
books offline. They're going to go to the bookstore." Now look at Amazon. It touches all of our. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Almost trillion. So this idea of, look, the thing about dreams are they require work.
Right.
They
That's right.
require dedication. And a lot of people who go, you're not going to reach your dreams. Look at me. I always say, to how much work did you put into those dreams?
That's
How
the
much work
key.
did you put into? Did you do, what's that Mob Deep? Ain't no such thing as a halfway crook. Ain't no such thing as a halfway dream.
Right.
You got to go all in. And when I say all in is you got to be dedicated about that. You got to put in the time, you got to put in the work.
That's
You
right.
got to keep watering it. You got to keep planning it, because the thing about dreams is they don't have, it's not like this is it. It doesn't come
Yeah,
like your dream is going to mature in 2024.
that's right.
It is going to happen when it happens, but you have to stay focused and you have to be about that life. And you can't let people talk you out of it. If you get talked out of it, then that wasn't for you. That you may have said you want to do it, but you didn't really want to do it. You didn't
Yeah.
want to put in the work. So what I say to Black men is just, what are your dreams?
Yeah.
And are you making the right plans to fulfill it? Or
That's
are
deep.
you kind of halfway doing it? If you're halfway doing it, stop,
Right.
because you are wasting your time.
Hmm.
If you expect somebody to come knock on your door, you're not. It's
Right.
like
One of the
people.
things. Oh no, I'm sorry. I just want to say one of the things that
Sure.
you said that I keep hearing constantly, as you keep saying, is just your mindset. At some point, you shifted your mindset and snatched your power back. And
Yeah.
once you did that, then if you were unstoppable. I mean, from here to law school, then to being one of the top defense attorneys in the state of Georgia, all the way up to now, you are actual judge. But I don't think that came from you just sitting there wishing or from osmosis that this is going to happen.
Well, I mean, no, and I appreciate your description. I'm not one of the top defense attorneys in Georgia. I was,
So
I was
humble.
good. I was good. I was good. I did what I needed to do in Gwinnett. I tried to help people, but there are a lot of people that are, way better than me that are spectacular lawyers. But the whole thing of it was a plan, Stanley. It was a plan. It was,
Mhm.
one of the things I had to do when I went into court every day is to make sure when I went to trial, that I prepared, that I read
Yes.
the police report, that I knew what the witness statements were, that I listened to those statements, that I listened to my client's statement, that I went and researched the law, and that I, looked at everything and I tried to come up with a theory or a plan to try to secure my client's acquittal. I didn't go in there just swinging at the fences, but I went in there and I tried to sort of analyze what was the weaknesses in the state's case. And I tried to exploit those weaknesses to the best of my ability. You
Yes.
have to have a plan. One of the things that I think frustrates people and they're not able to see their vision through or see their dream through, because they don't have a vision and they don't have a plan. They don't sit there and say, okay, how do I do this? They don't go and look and talk to people who have done it before and honestly sit and listen to what they say. You have to have commitment. You have to have commitment, and you have to have a plan. Because if you don't, you won't see it through, because
Yeah.
you're going to have failure. But if you don't sit back, like, one of the things, I became a better lawyer when I started embracing when I failed.
Yeah.
Because I used to always, when I lost, I would want to put it behind me. Oh, I don't want to think about it. But, when I started going back and thinking about it, why did I lose that case? What did I do? What didn't I do? And start, sort of getting into it, was how I was able to avoid the pitfalls the next time, how I didn't ask the question, or made an argument. One of the things I learned is sometimes you have to learn to embrace the negative. Like you can't,
Right.
like what I mean by
Right.
it was, I had to go in and say, yeah, you're going to hear that my client did X. You're going to hear that my client did this. And you're going to see some of that. And I can't walk away from that. But
Yeah.
what you're not going to see, and I had to point to the jury, but because you see this doesn't make that the whole story. And,
That's right.
yeah, and what we have to do when I say embrace failure is to acknowledge that, like, yeah, I grew up in a poor area, but that had nothing to do with, the person I was or
That's
am.
right. Yeah.
That's just where I came from. And we spend so much time trying to cover our tracks that we don't look at what's in front of us. and we
Right.
wind up falling into pitfalls because we're so busy looking backwards.
I agree. I remember it was a friend of mine one day, he was just talking about um, the windshield, right? Why you have a
Mm,
big windshield in front of you and why you have this small rear view mirror. Most people in life spend so much time in their rear view mirror, they can't see where they're going. Just
yeah,
absolutely don't see where you're going because you're distracted on what has already passed. What we are today now is moving in through that particular windshield and moving forward, as you stated. Because if you would have stayed in Virginia, we would not have been right here today doing this. If you
yeah,
would have stayed in Virginia, we would not have empowered all of the people that we have empowered together separately. If you would have stayed in Virginia, we would not know you as a judge. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't matter where you came from, but now you're pushing forward to empower those other individuals. And what you have done and what you continue to do, Judge. I know we clown a lot, we cut up and all of those good things, but what you have done and the image that you have shown individuals, whether they're from the poor neighborhood, the wealthy neighborhood, whether they're black, white, brown, yellow, it doesn't matter. You've shown them. It doesn't matter, once again, where you came from, but it's where you're going. You stated yourself, if you don't get distracted, put a plan together, and master your mindset, the sky is the limit. And, and
yeah.
and what you just did is just absolutely amazing. And then you broke it down to where, listen, a 2-year-old could understand what it is that you're saying. Let me ask you this. Before we close out, I want to ask you this question. What powerful advice would you share with those individuals that may be struggling, whether it's in the mindset, putting a plan together, being distracted, or what have you? What powerful advice would you share with those individuals? Now, remember, we're not just talking about Gwinnett or Georgia. We're talking
Mm.
international. So, what plan would you? What advice would you share with them?
I would say believe in yourself. And I know that sounds hokey, but your present situation is not a determinant. Well, your present situation is not permanent. Whatever
Right.
struggle you're in is not permanent.
Yes.
Now you decide whether you're going to go up or down. That's
Yes.
your decision. If you sort of get in the mindset of I lost, then yeah, you're going to go down. But if you get in the mindset of this is a setback, but I'm going to keep going up. I'm going to keep going up those stairs, despite the fact that I fell on this third step. I'm going to make it to that 10th step. Then you're going to keep going up. You can't get like I've been in situations where I was like, man,
Yeah.
and looking back on it, I just go, wow,
Yes.
had I only knew, you
That's
know what I
right.
mean? Had I only knew, because I think we make bad decisions when we're in a bad place because we think that we have nothing to lose. Like people say, well, I ain't got nothing to lose now. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You're losing that next opportunity. You're
Right.
losing that next chance. You're losing that ability to be able to overcome your present situation.
Yeah.
And you can. I mean, you can. I don't care where you're at, you know. And if you look, one of the things I would encourage people to do is, go and read biographies, not because you're trying to pattern your life after that person, but
Hmm.
because when you look at a person's life throughout its whole span, you learn to appreciate that the situation you're in is not the end. You
Yeah.
learn that other people have come from, if not worse, just as bad as you.
Right.
And you can overcome it. You really can. But you have to have, again, that commitment and that vision. You have to have that commitment that I have a gift, a talent inside of me, and I'm going to continue to do what I do to nurture and grow that. And here's the thing: you may not be successful in your 20s, but that success may come in your 40s,
Yeah, that's
or it
right.
may come in your 50s, or it may, this whole idea that people think that because you're not successful young, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful older,
Right.
and you appreciate it more.
Absolutely.
And another thing I would say is stop beating yourself up.
Yes.
Stop beating yourself up. We spend so much time just beating on ourselves. We spend so much time saying negative things about ourselves. We spend so much time feeling like this is all we deserve.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you get, life owes you nothing but a chance, but you don't have to stay in a bad situation. You don't. You can improve. You just have
Yeah.
to, you just have to push. It's not going to be easy. I mean, it's not. But anybody who's achieved something, it's not easy. And if you go,
Absolutely.
well, what about all these people who have inherited wealth? If you look at their lives, it's not easy. It hadn't been easy. A lot of them suffer from a lot of different problems, a lot of different, things. Um, but you know, you can overcome. Stop beating yourself up. I know it's easy to just say, I'm just gonna stay right here.
Yep.
Okay, you
That's right.
can, right? But then you're gonna look and you're gonna go, why did so and so who grew up in my neighborhood, why are they doing so much better than me?
Yeah.
Why are they happier? And it has nothing to do with, and this is not about materialism. I'm not saying it, but it's about fulfilling your destiny. And you know
Yes.
what that is. You know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. It's just a matter of fighting for it. It's not going to be easy. It's not. It's not going to be easy.
That
But
part. That part.
yeah.
That
So
part. Let me ask you this. Now,
mhm.
all of my guests, I ask all of my guests when they come on to holla at your boy. And
Holla at
here,
your boy.
yeah, and here's what I mean. At the beginning, you heard me do my whole New Orleans call, right? So
Yep.
just for the family, for the audience, I'm gonna do it one time. Once you do it for your family, for the audience, and give the good old New Orleans call. You ready?
All right. I'm
All right.
ready.
Wow.
Wow. That was
That
it.
is it.
That was it. I have no idea what I just said.
That is it. That is it. Listen, Judge.
Fans, yes,
Huh?
sir. I said the fans could be come knocking at my door now.
Nah, it's not even that. Man, listen,
I know,
I
I'm just
so
saying.
appreciate you. You have no idea.
Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, and I appreciate. Look, man, I appreciate what you do. You are one of those lights in the community. You are always trying to push for the betterment of our people. You and your wife are both, very committed to, lifting people up and being service. So I thank both of y'all. Both of y'all are beautiful, both inside and out. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate all that you do. It does not go unnoticed.
Man, I certainly appreciate that. But it also echoes right back to what I see in a reflection of you. So I truly, truly appreciate you and all that you've done. First, I want to say again, thank you for your time. I mean, I truly, truly
No.
appreciate it. Thank you for your time. There's a lot of things we can do with time. It's not one of them that we can get back. So I truly, truly thank you. I thank you for the nuggets that you dropped on people, sharing with them and understanding. It doesn't start all the way peaches and roses and cream and all that good stuff, but sometimes you have to put in that work. So, family, listen, we're going to close out. Y'all know my intro and extra music, but this is what I want to say. Guys, go ahead, share this particular podcast. Like it, subscribe on Let's Talk with StanleyDoucette.com. Get all of season 1 and 2 there and enjoy it. All of our podcasts are meant to literally empower people all over the world. Listen, we're in 170 plus countries, right? We're doing stuff that, like Judge Person said, listen, where I grew up at, there's no way in the world somebody would have told me, oh yeah, you'll be able to talk in 170 plus countries. Absolutely not. Now look at us. We're growing. We're doing things to empower people, and we're doing it selflessly. So we don't want to bring it all on ourselves, but we want to continue to empower others. If you want to come on our show, if you want to come on the podcast and chop it up with us, and you got a brand new book or podcast or a lecture series, or you just important, whatever it may be, get at us. Go to Let's Talk with Stanley D at gmail.com. Send us an email. That's LetsTalkwithStanley D as in David at gmail.com. Shoot us a message. And listen, we'll get with you. We'll be able to scope out some things and be able to help you to empower the masses. So listen, I appreciate you guys so much. Judge, again, love you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right? And we're going to do our thing. So listen, with that being said, I love each and every one of you, but we're about to take it back to the street, baby. Let's go. Let's go to the street, and we out. See y'all next week. Take care. Peace.